What's up, people? Hotep to the family. Ashe to the ancestors here, and that's gone. We're going to start this session off with a little information. I want to talk to y'all about a little bit of something. It's faith versus knowing, and belief versus fact. Now, when you have faith in something, that means that you're basically hoping or counting on it to happen in your life. I have faith to that. Let me see. I'm going to wake up in the morning and go to work. Because I have so many times, I have faith that it's going to happen again. But it could just happen that my alarm clock don't go off, or I just don't hear it and wind up not even going to work that day. You get what I'm saying? Now, knowing is me basically saying, I know that my alarm clock is going to go off in the morning, in the purpose of waking me up to go to work. You get what I'm saying? I know it because I set it, I checked and make sure that it was set, and I expect and I know that it's going to go off. I don't know whether I'm going to wake up for it or even hear it, but I know that my alarm clock is going to go off. That's the difference between faith and knowing. Because when you have faith in something, that just because you have faith on it, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Just like people say, I got faith in God and Jesus and all that stuff like that. Oh, I got faith that God gonna take me out of this struggle, but you still in the struggle. But if you got a job, or you won some money, or however you got it, you're going to be like, I know I'm about to get out of the struggle because I either done came up on some money, or I know that I'm about to stack towards getting myself out of the struggle. When you have faith in something, it's not guaranteed that it's going to happen. Just because you have faith in something, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen for you or even take event in your life. That's why you should always be sure about what you say. Because you don't want people basically holding on to something that may never even occur. When you know something, that means you're sure. You're sure without any doubt, without any other thought, and you're sure about that. You have the evidence. You know that this is going to occur. Now let's get with this belief versus fact. When you believe in something, you don't have evidence in majority of the, occasions to be able to prove your belief. Let's say about people with the Bible. Their belief in, say, Yahweh, or their belief in Jesus. They have no type of evidence whatsoever to believe in any of this. Why? Because there is no physical evidence of Yahweh or Jesus, or let's say Elohim, or however you want to, Jehovah, however you want to put it. There is no actual evidence of this. Yeah, we have artifacts recovered by, the people who say the so-called Jews. They have their little arts and museums and stuff displaying all of this, but the dates are not accurate with the history that they are given. It's amazing that all this Jew shit, excuse my language, it's amazing that this didn't come about until around the AD, after the cause of Jesus and all this. Or not even that. Maybe even you could say, because there is evidence, so let me rephrase that. Only a few hundred years before we first get the talk of Jesus, where in 70 AD the first book of Mark was published. So only a couple of hundred years, that's when you first start hearing about these people. They tell you about a whole history of them that's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. Mind you, they're not even accurately stating that their history is over 10,000 years old. Okay, they come from out of Turkey. They migrate through Russia, through Germany, through all of these lands. But they're busy telling you about a land that's, where does the Bible start off? It starts off near Ethiopia, in the middle of Africa. Excuse my voice. So, if you got only an account of your history, if you don't come into play until a couple of hundred years before we start hearing about Jesus, there's no record of you thousands and thousands of years that you're given an account, especially with you moving the ark, the covenant. You have a covenant. You're moving through deserts and you're moving through lands, and you have a lot of people that's moving with you. You're building temples. You're going to war. And we don't have no type of historical evidence of any of this, except for the little evidence that you give us that's only a couple of hundred years before we hear the first talk of Jesus, which was 70 AD. Come on, man. Where do you come from? Where is your real homeland stationed at? Who were the first people that came from your tribe? There's no evidence of this. And then you have Hebrew Israelites saying that, oh, we're the first Jews, we're the tribe of Judah, da 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 da. No, brother. First of all, if you was the original Jews, then the Ethiopians that's in Israel right now wouldn't even be getting treated the way that they getting treated. Them people, they can't even come into certain praying houses with other Jews because they are being discriminated against. Their women are being discriminated against. Their kids are being discriminated against. That don't sound like the real Jews to me. That don't sound like the real Hebrews to me. You get what I'm saying? Back to the point. It's about belief and knowing. When you look at Kemet, when you look at Ghana, when you look at all these Nubia, all of these civilizations that they talk about, that they're going thousands and thousands of years ago, you have evidence for all of these kings, all of these dynasties, all of these tribes. You got people who are still stationed in their homeland today. You got some people that's in Africa who don't know anything but their tradition. They still got their artifacts. They still got their tombs. All the evidence right there. That's fact. When you go out of the box and you journey into something where they got all King David, King Solomon, all of these people, the only one that you really can relate to is Ramses, because there's a history behind them. But you got to think about who the history that they're giving it. They're just talking about something that everybody already know about. Everybody already knew about Kemet. You got Alexander the Great, Socrates, Plato. You got all of these Greeks. You got the Romans. You got Constantine. You got all of these people already done journeyed to this land. All of those people was already trading with Egypt and Africa and all of the places, in between. Nobody knew about no Jews, though. Why isn't there any true, and I'm not just talking about recent, modern, no. I'm talking about true, ancient evidence for the Hebrews, for the Jews? How can you start off in a river? How can you start off by Ethiopia and then wind up coming from Turkey? All of your people are mainly from Turkey, Germany, and Russia, and Europe. But the places that you're saying that you derive from, everybody there is tan and mild dark skin. But you come out white as snow. Come on, bruh. That don't make no sense. And how can you be a black Hebrew and there is no historical evidence for anything that these people are talking about that relates to you besides the Ethiopia? Everything after that is Middle Eastern, which we would consider part of Africa, but let's just cut that off right now and say that. Let's think about the people that's there right now. Come on, bruh. You gotta think about it. Kemet, Ghana, Kenya, all of these places inside of Africa have evidence of their people that's ancient, not just modern, but also ancient. You have tales of other people from other countries going and talking to these people. And they're writing about them. They're getting their knowledge. Why does it take, how does it take you all the way to the 3rd century just for everybody all of a sudden, or even a couple of years, a couple of 100 years, or let's say 500 years before the Common Era, and all of a sudden you, the creation of humanity, you are the father of creation? No, brother. That means somebody fathered you, and somebody fathered them, and it continued on and continued on. If you really look at like the Kabbalah and a lot of, Hebrew doctrine, which is Phoenician, by the way. If you look at a lot of their doctrine, is basic astronomy. They're talking about the stars, just like with Kemet. That's why they had to put Kemet inside of their knowledge. They was just paying homage to their father. They are just paying homage to their ancestors. So every time you read the Bible and you read the Torah and you read the Kabbalah and you read any of their doctrine, you're basically just going back to Kemet. So all of the people out there who are Christians, who are Jewish, Jews, Muslims, Hebrews, Israelites, whatever you want to call yourself, every time you go, and Muslims that go for YouTube, because if you read the Quran, it speaks mainly about Abraham, Isaac, and all of them. It even talks about Jesus, Mary. It gives you the same names as the Bible does. It's just basically referencing the Bible. So you are included too. Every time that you worship, you bow down, you pray, you read, you study, all you're doing is going back to Kemet, with just a little bit of mixture added on from the people that all the walks of life that they done went through and met, and they just gather it all in. That's all. Now Kemet is fact. Africa is fact. And for all of you people who say that Kemet is a cult, they was worshiping animals. No, they wasn't. In order for you to grasp what they're saying at that time that they were in their doctrine, they related man to life itself, to everything in life. That's why you see, with the lion, with love and, strong strength, the cobra with the third eye, your pineal gland. That's why you see a representation. That's why you see a representation with everything that they did. Everything had an animal instinct because of traits that maybe some people or things had that reminded them of something of an animal instinct. And for their people to know. So intruders like we had with the Greeks, the Romans, the Persian army, the Assyrians. So when they come in, they can't just automatically, we know what you're talking about. We know your science. They will have to learn. They will have to be taught. That's why you see when they came in, what did the Greeks do? They learned, and then they destroyed. What did they do? They claimed it for their own and came up with a Hermetic society and then got all the credit for it. Even though they announced in their books where they got it from. The mystery schools in Egypt, Kemet. They still claim all the glory. And they are getting recognized. So it's time for us to start recognizing Kemet for all the things that it brought to this world. All the things that are being used still to this day that Kemet made, that Africans made. I'm going to take up your time, so, Hotep to all. Ashe to the ancestors, and everybody be safe out there.